Hey friends! Today I am going to share with you a much requested pen haul. I have been saving up my recent purchases for a while and thought that I would share them with you today. I first want to mention that I do not think that you need a ton of pen supplies to learn hand lettering. For the longest time, I just used 3 different brush pens that I had purchased, but since I do recommend a lot of pens on here, I feel like I need to try a lot of them as well to make sure that I'm giving you an accurate recommendation. So that's why I have a tendency to purchase a few more pens than are necessary, and as you will see in this video, some of them I loved, but some of them I did not love so much. So if you are interested, keep on watching, and thank you so much. I hope you enjoy. So the first up are these Artline Stix brush markers, and these are really popular in the lettering community. People really love to use them for lettering, but I hadn't tried them until now, so I decided to go ahead and try them out. And I did like the colors a lot. As you can see, they have a lot of variety and they have a lot of more muted colors than just the primary colors. The tip is a little bit shorter and more firm than other brush pens. So here I'm just going to swatch them out for you. Overall, these were not my favorite. I don't think I loved them as much as a lot of people do, and the reason is the tip just isn't very flexible. It kind of just pushes down and pushes in, so you don't really get those really thin, sharp upstrokes, and I really like the flexible tip for that reason. But one thing that I could see people really liking about these is that they're a little bit easier to control because you don't get that crazy flexibility. You can kind of control your thick and thins a little bit easier than with something that has a lot more flexibility and quite a bit bigger tip. The next brush pens that I'm going to show you are these color in markers, and I actually just passed these at the store and saw that they said brush markers, and I decided to try them even though I hadn't seen anybody use them that I could remember, but I actually really ended up loving these. The tip is a little bit shorter than other brush pens, but it's also super flexible, and they have the prettiest colors. So if you follow me on Instagram, you have seen me use these a whole bunch of times, and I really am loving them. They still are writing really nicely even though I've used them quite a bit. It's a little bit harder to write small with these size brush pens, but you can kind of get the idea. The one downside to these is that some of the brush pen tips were pulled out a little bit farther, so you can kind of adjust that by just pushing it in a little bit. But if you notice that 2 of your brush pens write really differently, check the tips of them and see if you can kind of adjust them to be equal. Last thing that I wanted to show you is that they do look like they bleed a little bit, but I think that's just the paper that I'm using. So here's an example of them on the HP Premium Choice LaserJet paper, which is my favorite paper to use for hand lettering with brush pens. Before and for many of the other pens in this video, I am using the Leuchtturm Journal, which is not meant for hand lettering, so it's not quite as thick or smooth of a paper. So this has a little bit better of a look. The next pen that I'm going to show you is the Winsor Newton Watercolour Brush Marker, and if you guys follow me, you know that I love these markers. They have a really thick brush tip, and then they also have a bullet tip. Just make sure that they are the watercolor markers. Otherwise, they do have just a regular brush marker by Winsor & Newton that's quite a bit different than this, but these are really pretty and they have a lot of pigmentation, so I really love using these. These are 2 different colors. I don't love the orange color that I got here, but I really love the green. The next brush pens are the Zig Fudebiyori. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but these are really highly recommended by a lot of people, and so I decided to just buy a whole bunch, banking on the fact that I thought I would like them. And they had so many pretty muted colors, so I just decided to grab a whole bunch. And I really like these pens, just like other people recommend. They write really nicely, and the tip's a little bit smaller, which I do prefer over a really large tip. So I thought that these wrote really well, and I thought that these would be a good beginner marker because, like I said, they're a little bit easier to control than some of the big markers, but they're still really flexible and give you that really nice bounce back for thin upstrokes. The next brush pens were another one that I grabbed because I saw that they said brush tips, and I've actually seen a lot of people on YouTube recommend these. I think they're really popular in the paper crafting world, and again, they had really pretty colors, so I thought I might as well try. And these I think are called the Tim Holtz Distress markers. They did not have any flexibility, and if you push hard on them, you, I think, basically will ruin the marker, which I'm sure that their whole purpose is not for brush lettering. I'm sure that they're created for paper crafting, and that's probably why. So I don't really fault them for that, but like I said, when I see a brush tip, I just decide to try it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And these ones for me just did not work for brush lettering, but I did think that they would be really nice for using them in my bullet journal because the colors are so seriously pretty. As you can see, I'm showing you a little bit of an example of when I push really hard, how that tip just totally stays sideways so that you can't really come back up for a nice upstroke. This one is a jelly roll pack, and I had not tried these pens yet, so I decided I better. And this is a metallic kind of shimmery pen, and I'm actually missing, I think, the pink out of here because you guys know that I love pink, that I've been using it, and it didn't go back with the collection. But I really liked using these. They do take a bit of time to dry, so that's the huge downside. If you're using them for journaling, then you can go back over and smear it all over the page. So if you're okay letting them have some time to dry, these are really pretty. And these are so shimmery. I know that the paper doesn't do them justice on camera, but these are really, really shimmery, so I love that about them. And here's another marker that I purchased because they were $2.99 and they said they had a brush tip, so I decided to try and see if they might just work like brush pens. These are pretty much just a regular marker, and there wasn't a whole lot of variation between thick and thin strokes. As you can see, I did not even want to write out the whole word hello with these, so they were kind of difficult for me to write with, and I definitely would not say that they'd be my favorite brush pen for lettering. There's definitely a lot of other great options that you could purchase before these. But if you are looking for some inexpensive markers to buy, then these might be for you, but just maybe not for hand lettering. If you do have these markers, I did find it a little bit easier to write when I was writing larger than trying to write the smaller letters. The next markers that I'm going to show you are the twin tone markers, and I'm sure that if you are on Instagram or follow any hand lettering accounts that you have seen these. I think they just recently came out and they were kind of everywhere. I honestly thought that they were probably kind of overhyped, which is why I didn't buy them right away, but eventually the pretty colors wore me down. You guys know that I love pastels and more muted colors, and these are just absolutely gorgeous. So I went ahead and bought them, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I really like the larger tip. The smaller one I don't love as much because I think it's a little bit hard to write with. If you are someone like me who has kind of a heavy hand, you kind of have to get used to writing a little bit lighter because that one's a pretty delicate tip. But the thicker bullet tip is great, especially for people like me who do have a heavy hand, because these feel really durable and I haven't noticed any of them kind of flattening or getting frayed out yet, and I've been using a few of the colors quite often. So I really like these, especially the colors are just a huge win for me. Definitely recommend them if you like journaling or if you like a monoline lettering. These next pens are ones that I just found in an end cap, so I don't even know how much they are because they didn't have a price. I think they were pretty inexpensive, and they're the Craftsmart Fineliner, and I found these at Michael's. These are just a typical fineliner, and I thought that I would try and see if they worked well, and I actually did really like them. One of the struggles for somebody like me, again, who is using a fineliner that's really thin, is that I have to try to be really light-handed, which is abnormal for me. So that's just something that is a little bit different that I have to work on, but I still actually really like these overall. One thing that I did notice with these is there was almost like a little bit of splattering in some of the sections, but you have to look really closely to see, and it probably was just how I was writing. So definitely these were just fine for a journaling pen. These next ones are some glittery brush pens and some regular pens. I actually thought that these were glittery brush pens, but they are not. These were actually just a regular pen, and then here is the brush tip. These are really beautiful and shimmery, and the video does not do them justice, but I actually did a comparison video of this with the next brand of glitter brush pens that I'm going to show you, so I can link that video in the description box below. And then this 0.8mm pen that I thought was a brush pen actually turned out to be kind of a happy accident because I really love these. They write really nicely. They're not super glittery, but that's okay. But they just are a really nice pen to write with. If you follow me on Instagram, I had a little bit more about that with a close-up if you want to see a close-up like still photo to kind of get a better picture. And these next ones that I'm going to show you are the Artsy brand, which I found at Hobby Lobby, and there's the metallic filled ones, and then these ones are just filled with some kind of ink. I really like using a water brush, so I thought that these might be kind of similar. They're not totally similar, just because it's obviously different writing with this type of ink or whatever it is, versus writing with like watercolors that you might use with your gouache water brush. But these are really fun, and I'm definitely going to be playing with them more and letting you know what I think of them. And here is an example of the metallic brush pens, and again, I will leave a link for that more detailed video below. And these next two brush pens are a Kuretake brand brush pens, and I honestly don't know the name of these exact pens because I don't think there's even any English writing on it, and I don't want to say the wrong one because I know they have a bunch of different types of pens, but I will leave the links in the description box below for these exact ones that I got. One, I believe, is a felt tipped pen, and then this one, as you can see, has bristles. They are both black in color, and I thought maybe the bristled one would write a little bit like a water brush, but it really doesn't. It feels quite a bit more dry, which isn't a bad thing. It's just a different type of pen. You can get some really nice thin upstrokes with this pen just because it is so kind of fine and doesn't have so much liquid or watercolor coming off of it, since I think it's probably filled with ink. This one that I'm showing you now, I really like this pen. It has a really good amount of flexibility. It's not too flexible where you can't control it, but it's not stiff either. So if you're looking for just a good black pen, I really like that one. Now, the last thing that I'm going to show you is this 64 pack of washable Crayola markers. You guys know that I love hand lettering with Crayola markers, and I had really been wanting to find these gel markers, and I could not find them anywhere. So yes, I bought this whole pack just for this set of gel markers. It also came with some window markers, and I thought, well, I love Crayola lettering, so it would be fun to have a huge variety of colors. I also had bought previously the huge pack of Crayola super tips, and they come with so many different shades and colors, so I kind of assumed that this would be the same without doing my research. It was not necessarily the same. There are a ton of duplicates in this package, so that was kind of a disappointment because in the end there was a whole pack of them that was a complete duplicate, and I think it was more the primary colors, so you can see that at the end portion. I didn't even hand letter them again because I would have just been doing the entire same colors and the names of those colors over again, so I just kind of showed you where the duplicates were. So here you can kind of see the layout of the few duplicates that I found from that pack. I did hand letter more duplicates, but those were the ones that had the entire plastic wrap pack was the exact same. So these are the gel pens that I purchased this for, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought that most of them would show up a little bit more. There is a green one missing from this pack that I wasn't able to film, and that one was really like electric so that you could see it really great. You can see them over the black, but I was kind of expecting them all to be like this one that I just wrote with, and they definitely all weren't. You can kind of tell what colors they were supposed to be, the pinks and yellows and purples, but I thought that they would all be kind of that metallic looking color. But overall, I still love Crayola lettering, and they're so inexpensive that I can't really be too mad, but I definitely would probably just try to find the gel markers online if I were going to purchase them again, so that I didn't get a whole pack of a bunch of duplicates. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will leave the links for these products in the description box below as well. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos throughout the week and pictures and tips, you can follow me on Instagram. It is just at howtohandletter. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!